Okay, this is part 3 of the engine rebuild. I put the front cover on and put a new filter into the filter housing, clutch cover on, all pressure sensor there. So now we're ready to start assembling the rear of the engine. Okay, we're now doing the back of the machine of the engine. So the alternator rotor has to go on. So lubricated the shaft and the needle roller bearing there. Checked the one bay bearing on the starter. That's all okay. So we will put this on. And that's it there. Some plenty of lube on that bolt. Get that in. And it tensions up to 60, I'm going 66.5. Yeah, one for good luck. There she is there. Next to go on is the CDI pulsar rotor. Goes on into the alternator rotor, like that. Put the bolt on. And that gets tensioned up to 9 foot-pounds. That's it. Okay, I'm going to put the gear selector together. Now this I found a little bit tricky. We've got this small arm here which goes on there onto this selector drum. And it consists of a bolt, a washer, an arm with a notch in it, and a little sleeve with a shoulder on it. See that shoulder? So okay, the washer goes onto the bolt, the arm goes on with the notch up, and then the sleeve goes on with the shoulder into the arm. Don't put it the other way around like I did. So that goes on like that, and then the spring goes on like this with the small arm over the shoulder. And that's ready to go on. Now don't try to hook the spring up, just put it on loosely and try and keep these together, because they can fall out of that arm very easily. Just keeping pressure on there to hold everything together. Wind that in without any tension on it. Keeping that arm out of the way of the selector drum. It's good having it like this as well, I think, because you can test whether it's nice and free or not, you know. That arm should be, you want that arm free. So let's tension that up. I'll just tension this up. Okay, that's tensioned up. Now there's the arm there, you can see it. And you can also see that the roller actually runs on top of the selector here. Okay? So that's nice there. We've got that nice and free. It's all okay. The spring goes round onto the arm. Now the other one here, I'll just use a pair of mole grips to grip that spring. And then pull that up and get that into the next hole up the top. Now that's on correctly now. It's definitely okay. It's pretty strong spring, but everything's aligned there. We've got our roller right on the top edge of the selector drum. Okay, next we've got the other selector arm. Got a thrust washer on this small arm, nothing on this big one because it's got an aluminium hub on it. So I've got the spring connected on there. I've got that one on. I'll put the big one on first. And then hold this arm up. And then that spring goes on there. This arm goes up here. Like that. It connects in there. And that goes in there. And that's it. So we've got gears meshed in properly there. You see that the teeth are right, that's the right position. This one's here, springing on there, and we've got a spring either side of there. So that's the gear selector system on. Next we've got the final drive. We've got the pinion with the shoulder on it. So the shoulder goes towards the gearbox, towards the motor, and then the final drive just goes on. Yeah, like that. In neutral at the moment. Okay. Okay, I've just popped these two O-rings in on the water galleries to the water pump and put their sleeves in. They can go in, and we've got two sleeves on the casing, one in here and one down the bottom here. And that's them in. It cover's just about ready to go on. I've got to get the stator into it. I've got to check the stator out to see what condition it's in first. I've checked my stator out, and all the readings were pretty good for the charge calls and that, but I did get a zero reading between 8 and 9, which points to one of these trigger pulsar coils that's gone. The advancer coils in here are all okay, but I'm thinking I'm going to change this whole system over to the ray scan ignition system. The next thing to do is the dreaded water pump seal, which on the net or in the book they say this casing must be heated. My missus ain't too keen about putting this in the dishwasher and then heating the oven up to 250 with it in it. So I've made up a tool to fit this in. So we're ready to put the seal in. I've put some Loctite thread sealer on there, or pipe sealer in the bore. Got the mechanical seal sitting there, and I've got a plate and a little dolly to fit and line this all up. Now it's important that we get this all, everything nice and straight, and don't touch that ceramic surface. Okay, I've got my little tool in there for pushing this seal in. It's got to be dead straight to get this in properly, you reckon? So I've just gone around and checked it, the gap between the casing and the puller with an Allen key, just to make sure that that's all the same gap. And then we put the puller on, push it, and just push this in. Yeah, it's going in nice. So she goes right in. So that goes down flush onto the casing. Okay, should be it. Take that off and have a look. So there we are, there's the seal in, and it's 14 degrees here in Adelaide, so yeah, that's all it is just a little boss located on the back. Just check that with wire and I'll just blow that through with a bit of air. That's all good. Next, the rear seal onto the cam. Okay, cleaned out the hole, everything's nice and clean. Next goes in the rubber seal for the camshaft. The flat face goes in towards the mechanical seal. Bit of grease on that and just press that in. So that goes in like that. And that's good to go. That's just flush with the housing. The last part of the mechanical seal is the ceramic face that goes on the impeller. I won't put the new one. I'll keep that in its bag until I actually put the cover on. But here's the old one. The rubber just goes in to the impeller, and then the ceramic goes in there, and then that'll go on the other side to mate up with the other surface of the mechanical seal. Okay, I reckon I'm ready to put the rear cover on. Looks pretty good in here. Got my gasket on, give it a coating. Got my O-rings there, got my dowels here. The linkages are all on and in, and the Farinal drive's on, and the gearbox is in neutral. I've put my water seal in, mechanical seal, and the stator's in, so we're all ready to put the cover on. Now you got to be a little bit careful getting this on. Just line up the gearbox. Like so. And the gear shift. That's it there. That's better. Just getting onto that bearing. Keep a bit of pressure on that gear link to keep that linkage in place. Just tap home, and that's all good. So just put a couple of bolts in. And just make sure everything's sort of going there. Output shaft turns freely. I've got 2 bolts in there. Mechanical seals there, looking good. Now I put the gear shift on. Maybe there's room here. Now I'm just going to check that this linkage is okay by just jiggling the output shaft first to neutral, second, third, fourth, fifth. Oops, went too far there. Back to neutral. So the gears linkages are all okay, so that can be all bolted up now. Okay, the rear cover's on, and all we've got to do now, mechanical seals in on the water pump. All we've got to do is fit the impeller and the water pump housing, and that's out of the way. So with the impeller, there's a rubber that goes in there, and then the ceramic part of the mechanical seal with the shiny side up. Impeller goes there, then a thrust washer. Thrust washer goes onto the camshaft, and then the impeller. That's it there, it's spring loaded on the mechanical seal, then the copper washer, and then the nut. And just tighten that impeller up. Then just tension the impeller nut up to 8 foot-pounds. I'll give it a bit more actually. Make it 9. Then the cover with the O-ring in place. Okay, that's the water pump on. Next thing I might do is put the carbies on. Okay, it's time to get the Kaihan carbies on. I won't go into great detail on overhauling these because there is a very good book put out by Larry Cargill. I will leave a link for this in the description. It's well worth getting. But the main tools that I've used for getting these clean have been I would strip the carby, do the outer bodies with the wet blaster, rinse them off thoroughly. Then I would put them into the ultrasonic for an hour and clean them. And then I would pull the low jet out and put the body back in for another hour, and then once all the galleries are clean and I'm ready to assemble, just before I assemble I would probably just soda blast the outside body to get, sometimes with the ultrasonic you are getting staining, so I just give them a little go with the soda blaster, rinse them all out again, dry them off, blow them out, polish the caps, fit all the jets, check the settings. Now I'm running pod filters on these carbies, and the standard jet, the main is 78, upping that to 90, and the secondary jet is 112. I'm taking that up to 120 and drilling out the low jet from 18th thou to 20th thou. Okay, so here's a carby. I'll just show you what those jets are. Okay, we've got the carby body here. We'll take the float cover off, and inside we have our two jets here. This is the main jet, which is going from, I'm increasing from, because of pod filters, from 78 to 90, and the secondary jet, which is this one, is going up from 112 to 120. And inside, behind this rubber, we have the low jet. Now the low jet is, on the earlier models, is just pressed in. So you, Larry recommends using an easier. I actually prefer to tap it out to 3mm and jack it out. So if we take the secondary jet out and the emulsion tube and the main jet, we take that out. And we pull this plug out, and inside we have the low jet. Now what I do is I drill the low jet out down 6mm. Use a 2.5mm drill and drill it down 6mm deep, and then tap it 3mm. Get yourself a cap head bolt, 3mm, and screw that into the low jet, and then you've got the nut there. If you're doing this, you may need, I normally put it through the ultrasonic first, and then maybe a little bit of heat, just a tiny bit of heat to warm it up to help you get it out. But then you just get a pair of pliers and just jack on that bolt until that tube comes out. And there it is there. That's your low jet. So I read that with having the pod filters, that Larry actually recommended drilling this from 18 thou out to 20 thou. Now once you get all these jets out and everything's just the body, then it goes back into the ultrasonic and clean. So you get all these galleries clean within the carby. Float level is checked. That should be 15 to 15.5mm, and then the carbies are reassembled, bench sort of synchronized, and then fitted to the engine for later tune-up. Okay, now I'll fit the carburetors to the motor. Okay, that's them all tight. So the next thing I need to fit is the starter motor, and that's pretty well it. Starter motor goes in this way. We just a couple of bolts on the back. I've got to get the cables under here. Once the motor goes into the bike, there's an earth cable goes on this mounting here, and the active cable goes on this one. Okay guys, well there's only a couple of more things to do on this motor. I've got to upgrade the ignition system to race can, and that's going to be total rebuild of the ignition system to modernise that. I've put the hanger on, that's got to be powder coated, but I'm upgrading the cooling fan system to an electric fan. Now what the guys are using is a electric fan off a Kawasaki ZX6R. I got mine off YouTube, not YouTube, eBay, and yeah, we basically you cut off the camshaft. I've taken the tacho drive out and plugged that, and there is a good article on the net about doing this, so I'll leave a link in the descriptions. But here's the fan over here. Okay, here's the Kawasaki ZX6 electric fan. It comes with these lugs on it, here, here and here. So all I did was basically cut these off, and if you get 20 mil diameter by 25 mil long male female rubber buffers, available at most bearing shops, you can just fit them into the arm of the fan, like that. This one I just need a little bit longer, just have a nut underneath there, but that comes out quite neat. Then we can fit this into the fan housing. We can fit this, all I've got to do now really is drill the holes, and that will be mounted in there. Get the right clearance off the camshaft, and the fan will be in there like that. Okay, the fan is now mounted into the original cowl with the 3 rubber buffers. It's all ready to be wired up when we get to that. These engine hangers and fan cowl, I'm going to take them off and get them powder coated. So yeah, we're just about done with the motor. Well, that's it guys. The CX500 motor has been fully rebuilt. Had the radiator checked out by NatRad in Adelaide, and she's all ready to go into the frame. Next few episodes are going to be about the putting the suspension and wheels onto the frame. So thanks for watching guys.